Hello, in this video I'm going to start talking about how I build for PvP. Now I'm going to start with the first point of I am not an avid PvP person. I don't particularly do it that often, nor do I really enjoy it that much. But what I do for PvP is to earn AP, and then during events I will partake in it, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form a top of the line guy. So these are just kind of some build ideas that I have for keeping things fresh in PvP. I don't really like to follow uh, the meta in terms of wearing the same thing on every guy. So I kind of look at PvP builds a little bit differently. So how I figure out how to build things for PvP. For example, this is my Arcanist, my Magicka Arcanist. He's a Breton. And one of the main strengths for Arcanists is the Psychic Legion passive here. They have an increase to status effect damage as well as status effect chance. And so I kind of looked around to figure out how I could take advantage of that. For example, Dragon Knights have increased burning damage and um, poison damage. Sorks have physical and shock damage and so forth. So when I try to build for PvP builds, I try to look at how I can kind of lean into the class, which kind of enhances the class abilities, and it kind of makes it unique so that not everybody's running around running the same thing. So let's get into the build here. First off, I'm a Magicka Arcanist. So I have here's my stats unbuffed here. As you can see, I've got a decent amount of health and mag, and my recoveries are pretty decent here. Now I'm wearing the Lover Mundus for the penetration. This helps me get through a lot of enemy armor here, and my damage, as you can see, is pretty decent. This is my unbuffed resistances, so let me go ahead and buff up real quick with resistance, and um, so as you can see now I've got 5165 damage, and then my resistance is almost at cap there. Um, so let's take a look at the gear. The two main sets I'm using, one of them is the Spattering Disjunction set out of Infinite Archive. That gives you a line of critical chance, and then 2 lines of weapon damage, and then all I have to do is deal damage with an Arcanist ability, and it will apply 2 random status effects to the target. And there is a 7-second cooldown on this. And then if you deal damage with a Herald of the Tome ability, which is going to be your flail, your beam, your rune blades, any of that, it will reduce the cooldown even further. And so this can happen quite frequently. My back bar weapon is the Vadishran Ice Staff. Very, very strong piece of equipment for PvP. All you have to do is go on your back bar, cast Elemental Susceptibility, which is a free skill, and you can tether to the enemy and get frost, shock, and flame damage. It also applies the status effects on the first tick of Elemental Susceptibility, which is explained in this actual skill here. The For every 7.5 seconds, you get Burning, Chilled, and Concussion status effect on this. So the front bar set is going to apply 2 random status effects. This will apply 3, and so that might be kind of a little bit of a dead giveaway as to what my other set is, and that is the Serpent's Disdain craftable set. The first 3 lines there are not real great. However, the 5th line is what makes this set so amazing for PvP, in my opinion. It extends all of your status effects that you apply by 16 seconds. So, in case you didn't know, or I think all of the status effects, the duration is 4 seconds long. So this makes each status effect that you apply last for 20 seconds. So with the Spattering Disjunction and the Elemental Susceptibility, you have the ability to keep status effects up 100% of the time, and you can apply several of these status effects with this build. 2 will be applied with this, 3 will be applied with this, and then on my front bar, I have my glyphs on my front bar from the Quick Cloak will be procced, and then this one will also proc physical damage with bleed, and then the flail is also physical damage that could cause hemorrhage, or excuse me, sundered. Sundered status comes from physical. Magic damage can proc overcharged, but there are several status effects that you can apply with this build. So just to go over the skills on my front bar, I've got Quick Cloak. This is a scribe skill with bleed damage and the lingering torment, and then minor berserk, and then pragmatic fate carver, the Syphilarch's flail, and this is the spiteful shield with the Tide King's gaze on the front bar, and then my back bar is pretty well defensive and resource sustained. It's major resolve, minor resolve with the elemental susceptibility. Recuperative traces will do damage. It will give you resources back, and it will generate a crux if you don't have any. And then this is also another, it's my heal basically. And then the Sanctum of Abyssal Sea back bar ultimate for defensive purposes. So real quick on the gear, I've got a charged mace on each hand. I go with maces for the extra penetration. You can choose whatever you like, but I like to really stack into penetration to make sure that when I hit something, it cuts through people's armor. I'm going to be applying Major Breach as well, so once I get Major Breach on them, I'm hitting close to about 18,000 on the penetration, close to that. And then if Minor Breach hits, it's up and over 20. So I like to really rip into their armor. I use Chuden for the one-piece armor set. I like to go get really tanky. Reinforced chest. All my armor glyphs are defensive prismatic glyphs. Medium divines, light divines on the waist, medium divines, heavy, and then heavy. And then I always use infused jewelry in PvP because Bloodthirsty does not trigger until you get somebody up and under 90% of health, and if they heal back up and over that, that shuts off. I like to have the constant weapon damage here that never goes away. So let me go into the CP real quick. Green Tree, obviously, for PvP, you're going to want to have these put in so that you can run around and not have trouble getting across the map or area. I have Deadly Aim, Master at Arms, Thermatug, and then because I'm focusing on status effects so much on this build, Force of Nature is going to add even more penetration for me. So this build will really cut through some armor, even if somebody has gotten up to near the resistance cap of 33,000. This build is going to cut through it pretty well. My staple 3, as always, on almost every PvP build, I always use these 2 up here, Boundless Vitality and Fortified. And then Bastion is kind of an unsung hero of the red tree. Not a lot of people pay attention to this part, but it increases your damage against shielded enemies. So if anybody's using a shield, this is going to increase your damage against them by 15%. So always keep this slotted because almost everybody in PvP runs a shield of some kind. So keep that in mind. And then I also have celerity slotted for just a little bit more speed. It's really important that you are able to move around without um, getting hit with a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, so Lover Mundus again, and then my stats, as you can see, are pretty decent for recoveries, and then the weapon damage and the penetration and resistance is right where I would say for PvP builds. I would recommend if you're just trying to build kind of a figure out your build, you're gonna want to reach about 30,000 health with your health, your all your gear on and your food buff on, and then your attributes. I would suggest always doing your attributes last. That way you know how many points you need for this. Um, but you want to get up to at least 30,000 health, and then penetration. The two main Munduses that I use for PvP are either the Lover or the Resistance. I believe it's the Lord. Um, because you either need to have penetration or resistance. Now you could go with the sharpened front bar weapons, and then you could maybe change out this for the Lover to go just more passively tanky, but um, I like this setup a little bit better. But those are some things that I have set up on this build. So right now the map is not really got that much to work on yellow wise, so I'm going to see if I can get over here and kind of demonstrate the build a little bit. I'll just travel to the other home base. Now the thing to keep in mind when you're running around in PvP is um, you always want to make sure that you're ready for somebody to kind of sideswipe you, so I usually try to stay on my back bar when I'm running around. That way if I need to pop on a resistance or block something really quickly, I pretty much have just got to hold block and get defended up. Um, I don't typically run around on my front bar a whole lot because you're a lot more vulnerable there. Let me see if I can get over here before this keep turns. Oh, I did forget to cover what food I'm running. Jewels of Misrule. I would recommend running this on every character build that you make. In my opinion, this is the best PvP food to run because it gives you max health and it gives you both magicka and stamina recovery, and it lasts for quite a long time, and it's fairly cheap to build. So it's a very good food to use for virtually any build. It's universal between magicka and stam builds because it gives you both recoveries and it gives you the max health to work with. So um, maybe I'll just fight these guys just to show you how this build works. I get defended up, hit them with the Vatishran, as you can see the tether there, and then I start to just do damage on them, and as you can see, they get a lot of status effects pretty easily there. Let's see if I can find some other guards around here. So now I'm just going to run over here to fight this guy here. So I will tether this guy again. As you can see, all those status effects are sitting on him. And then I can proc several other status effects. As you can see, this is putting a lot of damage on, a lot of status effects, a lot of dots, a lot of pressure that just sticks on the enemy. That's the other thing is the status effects are not something that they can walk out of. They are stuck on the enemy, and they have to either cleanse it or heal through it. So that's something to keep in mind when you are building, is you want to figure out how you can get some sticky things on them. Here's another enemy here I can stick on. I mean, look at all those status effects just ticking on just from just a couple of button presses. Again, you can just put a lot of pressure. Look at all that just from a couple of skills, and it's just ticking damage. I'm not even doing anything to him. And he's dead. So that is my Arcanist, my enhanced Magicka Arcanist build for PvP. I'll do a couple other videos on some other builds that I have conjured up and kind of played around with. But this is how I kind of keep class identity alive in PvP. I know that's sometimes a complaint of some people that there's not really class identity. Well, you can kind of lean into it if you want to. Just look at what your class is good at and search out some sets that pair well with it and buff that up and see what you can get with it. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.